So hello, it's Maximus North from Valkyrie Coven, and I want to talk about this book I've been reading right here very recently. Venuronomicon, a 21st century grimoire by Nathaniel J. Harris. And yeah, it's, I would say, probably one of the most interesting books on the occult and magic that I've ever read, particularly in recent years. I think it's quite a recently published book as well. I've had it actually, when I mean recent, I mean probably around in the last 10 years it was published. I've had it in my bookshelf for a while actually, but I didn't never got really around to reading it. And I've been reading it quite recently. I haven't completed it all yet, but I have been reading quite a bit of it. And it's kind of a new take on chaos magic. Now, it's not exactly the same as what traditionally has been known as chaos magic. And for those of you who don't know what chaos magic is, I'm going to explain it to you. Chaos magic is basically the idea of using belief as a tool, essentially. It's basically what you could describe it as in philosophical terms is postmodern magic. And what I mean by that is that there is no objective reality as such, it's all just subjective belief. And using your will and intent through using but via using belief as a tool to achieve results, if that makes sense to you. So yeah, that's basically what chaos magic is, and it kind of originated here in England in the, I would say, yeah, 1970s. And it was quite, it was the new type of magic of the 80s and 90s. It was like the very much the new thing then. Nowadays in the 2020s, I don't think it's so much as popular as it was back then. And I think the reason for that is that I think we can have more of a we're more being able to look at the philosophy of postmodernism from an outside perspective rather than actually where we were once fully in that. What I mean by that is we can more reflect on the philosophy of postmodernism rather than in the late 20th century we were, and the very early 21st century we were very fully in it basically. So what this Neuronomicon um, book kind of is, it's kind of like I'm updating, you could say, chaos magic, but kind of making it align with objective truths in many ways. What I mean by that it uses kind of objective science in order to explain the the phenomena of what you could call magic, in a sense. Now, it does actually have aspects of order and structure in it, and it emphasizes the importance of that. It calls it the seven laws, or what we call the seven gods or the seven planets in high planetary magic, or the seven gods in ancient paganism, or the idea of some like the seven chakras, the seven rays, all that kind of stuff, and that's kind of giving the order, and it kind of goes into like the universal consciousness being the absolute, and that the seven rays come emanations of that absolute, basically that, and it gets into the idea of saying that basically elves, angels, and aliens are all one and the same thing, which I think that's probably, yeah, I would say that's probably right. I mean, it's different in cultural interpretations, but yeah. And kind of says that demons, titans, etons are all pretty much the same thing as well. So it also gets into very much, it goes into like the structure of the brain, and but it also emphasizes that it's mind over matter, so it's not materialist in the sense that, but it says that the brain is a manifestation. It says that the brain is obviously a radar for the mind, so it's basically like a computer for the software of the mind, if that makes sense. So, and it gets into all the structures of like the brain and how that basically is all there to be of use to us to focus our intent at manifestation, essentially. And it gets into all the ideas of how our ancestors are also the connection for us to basically connect to the absolute. So we kept connect the absolute through the ancestors and the ancestral memories. So it does get into kind of objective ways of looking at things because if you think about it, the ancestors are hidden in your blood and bones. And so it's saying that basically the physical is not separate from the spiritual. It's essentially just the physical is a manifestation of the spiritual, vice versa, and the manifestation of the mind. So this is quite an interesting. I haven't read it all yet, but it is a very interesting book. And yeah, I mean, I've been practicing magic and I've been looking into the occult now for basically over 15 years. So since my pretty much since my early 20s, and I was kind of was practicing magic before that, but without knowing I was. But obviously I advanced in it and I kind of knew the well the protocols to how to practice it and everything like that. So it's taken me a lot of years to develop and kind of um, find the correspondences that are necessary within it. And I've manifested stuff, but I always will say that basically when you're working with magic and what you desire manifests, it doesn't always manifest in the way you wanted it to, or not how you expected it to. There's always a double edged sword of it. It's not as simple as basically it will be exactly the way you thought it would be because it's mysterious. It's a force that we don't fully, as humans, completely understand yet, but it's a force we can tap into. And like I said, it's like you have the other forms of magic in the late 19th century, early 20th century, so that would be the Victorian era here in England, that's what we call it. And they had, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, I think, pretty sure everyone watching this channel probably knows what that is. But they kind of use the ceremonial magic, and that's kind of very much outdated now. Uh, Nowadays, the magic that that people practice through basically influences from chaos magic, which very much became, you could say, the punk rock of magic in the sense that it was very DIY. Uh, and then also the rise of the internet, where it's just that everyone's putting their own things out there. It's very much it's kind of come so decentralized now, and so much of different creative experiments have been done with it, and people end up just creating their own rituals and their own systems of magic, which I think that's kind of the way I think magic is evolving. It's kind of going in this um, down this road where it's there isn't really any dominant form of tradition of magic anymore. It's all people creating their own systems of magic in a sense, but being influences by all the traditions before in magic going back in history. Uh, there's some, forms of magic I haven't tapped into yet. Maybe because that's for me to get a hold of at a later date. But there's other ones I have obviously tapped into, and I've used them to basically manifest things in my life. And sometimes when it does manifest and I see it, it's not exactly, well, pretty much most of the time, it's not always the way I wanted it to manifest. And there's, like I said, double edged swords to it. But you've kind of got to, it's really about focusing that intention and almost like a lot of the magic I seem to, it starts off in the mind. That's where it starts off. It starts off via the imagination or the imagination, and then it kind of like takes on a form and it structures itself. And then I take that and I put it into ritual practice, and I use the various correspondences that help me manifest that. And it doesn't come straight away or overnight, but it does it does, and sometimes it can take faster than others. Sometimes it can take a lot slower, depending on the magnitude of what I want to have um, come into reality. But it does eventually, and uh, there's been a lot of and it's taken me a long time to kind of like develop it to get it to the point where I've got it now. So I would say, and if you want to have a look into it, that's the name of the book there. So if you want to basically get a reading from me, like I've said in my last video, or and I do multiple readings. I do astrological readings, rune readings, um, etc. You can go to my website www.valkanicoven.com. I also do classes and lessons in how to practice magic and how to, through the various magical systems that I've basically mastered over the years. So if you want to get a hold of me, go to my website valkanicoven.com and yeah, contact me there. So that's all I've got to say for now. And till next time, take care.